discretion is advised.
Reddit. What is your most thought-provoking question? Assuming humans still exist in 100,000 years, what will they know about human history as of 2017? Will it just be the first paragraph of the first chapter of their history books? Will our cultures and technologies seem as primitive and distant to them as Neolithic tools and sites do to us? Will any of our art, literature or science be remembered, even if it still exists? Is there any opinion, not fact, that 90% plus humans on Earth agree on? When designer genes become commonplace, are you going to wish you were born later, or feel like you wouldn't have been really you, if some doctor had monkeyed with your DNA? What's something that you could, realistically, do tomorrow, that would improve your life, and why won't you do it? If you believe in heaven or some afterlife, how do you feel about your loved ones watching down on some of your most cringe-worthy moments? What if Earth is a gigantic farm for an alien species, and one day they are going to come harvest the fruit of their labor? Who closes the doors when the bus driver gets off the bus? Have you ever seen a bus driver get off a bus? I've seen them napping and eating in the bus while parked. Oh my god. The bus is their world. If life evolved from non-living material, like amino acids, and we have an unbroken chain of evolution from that point, then at what point did non-living material become alive and conscious? And how? Why don't we call countries the names that they are in their respective countries? Like, why do we call it Germany instead of Deutschland, Poland instead of Poland, Italy instead of Italia? Why does the concept of loanwords stop when it comes to country names? Edit: I'm sorry, I referred to Poland as Polin, not Polska. I'm an idiot. It was not intentional. Also, thanks to the people who gave me an answer to this. What are you? And given what you are, what is the meaning of your life? That was the one and only question on my freshman college philosophy final. I got a B. Edit: my answer was a drawn out essay explaining some of the general theories we discussed in class related to Canton means versus ends. This was almost 10 years ago, so it's all kind of fuzzy to me. Essentially, I recited his lectures right back at him, and pulled through with a decent grade. Have you ever known someone a really long time, and have never seen their feet? Imagine what those piglets look like. Would it change the way you see them, if you saw them, and they were horrifying? Did we discover math, or invent it? Math is more like a language used to communicate the world around us. 2 apples is still 2 apples before the number 2 was created. The number 2 just helped communicate the idea. If a blind person asks you what colors look like, how would you even begin to describe it? Describe red to a person who had never seen it before. I say the color and let them drink the corresponding Gatorade flavor to the color. Fruit punch red. Lemon lime greenish yellow, glacier freezes light blue, etc. When a photon is emitted by an atom, does it accelerate to Sol, or does it start out at Sol? The best answer to this I've seen has unfortunately been deleted from Reddit. The gist is as follows. Everything travels at the speed of light, at all times. However, things don't travel through space but through space-time. Sitting still in a chair, you aren't traveling through space at all. This means that all of your speed of light travel is through time, at 1 second per second. If the chair you're sitting in starts accelerating to the speed of light, then more and more of your speed of light travel is through space and less of it is through time. As Einstein's theory predicts, you begin to experience time more slowly. Photons, by their nature, do not experience time at all. All of the past and the future is a single instant to a photon. All of their speed of light travel is through space, none of it is through time. Acceleration and deceleration are meaningless concepts from the perspective of a photon. More of a thought than a question. It's a huge mind duck knowing that human brains try to figure out chemical imbalances in the human brain. What if when you die, You move on to another universe and body where you didn't, and you keep going forever some way somehow. What is the universe contained in? As we know from the Big Bang Theory, everything came together and blew apart, and everything is now expanding. I want to know what's on the other side. What is in the areas where the expansion has not reached yet? Can it go forever? It boggles my ducking mind. Edit. I get the basics, guys. I get the balloon expanding, and the space between everything is increasing. I mean beyond all that, outside the balloon. Is free will an illusion? If you knew all the forces that enacted on a coin flip, you could theoretically predict which side it would land on before it does so. The same could be said for the universe. If you knew how every particle would react with each other, then theoretically you could predict every emotion, birth, death, action and event that will ever happen. Every cause has an effect. Why should humans be exempt from this rule? If Judgment Day were to arrive tomorrow, what would be the little bad deeds that culminated in your failure to gain access to heaven? I suspect it'd be all the little things I didn't do. The times when I thought maybe I should stop and help those folks by the side of the road, or I have a car, I could buy an umbrella for that homeless person from Goodwill for almost nothing and be back in less than 5 minutes, but then didn't. I still think about those missed opportunities to make the world a little better and wish I were a better person. If aliens exist, did Jesus die for their sins too? If not, how does Christianity apply to them? Read the short story The Star. Spoiler: we travel to a distant star or the remains of it that went supernova and find the remains of a civilization on one of its planets. Beautiful architecture, works of art, etc. Then we deduce when exactly the star blew up and where it was in our night sky on Earth. In the story, it turns out this was the star that shone to indicate Jesus' birth. The Fermi paradox. The idea is that based off the Drake equation, Earth should have already had some sort of contact with extraterrestrial life. So where is everyone? The most mundane answer is that the whole thing is bogus. Some of the more fantastical lines of thought include the idea that an extraterrestrial super predator kills off any civilization that develops to the point of space exploration. Another one is that the process of developing the science necessary to explore space, every civilization has killed itself off. You're reading this statement with a voice in your head. What if it isn't you? There's a cool idea that the universe was created 5 minutes ago from nothing, with human memory and all other signs of history included. The question is, how do we know that isn't the case? Unfortunately, this gets dragged into religious discussion sometimes, but I think it's cool to think about it without all the extra baggage. Have you ever had a dream that you had, you could, you'll do, you want, you could do so, you'll do, you could, you want them to do so much, you could do anything. If crows that are nearly identical in appearance, but coming from different geographic areas, are scientifically categorized as different species, there are 30 species of crow, by the way. Why is it that all domestic dogs are the same species? Same question for humans, who are also all the same species. A Saint Bernard and a Bulldog are both Canis lupus familiars. A Swede and a Congolese are both Homo sapiens sapiens. But a fish crow and an Australian crow, why, that's Corvus oesophagus and Corvus coronides. Have you ever thought of the coincidence that your consciousness happened to be in that exact body? That moment when you look in the mirror and think, why am I me and not someone else me? Not sure if it really is, but one time I had met this blind guy. First time ever having a conversation with a blind person. He was a cool guy, very energetic. Had no problem joking about his vision loss. Quite positive outlook on life in general. At one point I asked him, and I really didn't even start to ask any questions until after we were well acquainted. I'm sure this is all very banal and boring. He interrupted, I'd rather you ask than talk behind my back. He already knew what the question was pertaining to. In what way do you think your imagination has changed since you've became blind? I want to say it was 20 years. He just paused for a long time and kept saying, wow, you know, no one has ever asked me that. I'm really going to have to sit down and think about this one for a while. At that moment it sent shivers down my spine. In a good way, but the fact that a question observation like that to me seemed so obvious. When pondering the deep religions that are active around the world, I wonder that if there is a divine creator working to facilitate the existence of absolutely everything in the universe, why would we ever think that we could even begin to fathom the meaning or mechanisms behind its actions? Click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.